The Marine Toys for Tots foster care program is bringing hope to children who need it most. Every 2 minutes, a child enters foster care, often with only a small bag of belongings. More than 400,000 children face trauma and uncertainty, many before age 8. This May, during Foster Care Awareness Month, Toys for Tots is creating Room for Joy. In 2025, nearly 375,000 children received comfort through toys, books, and essentials, reminding them they are not alone. Donate now and change a child's life.
Listen, all you New Yorkers.
Taxi! Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Welcome back, folks. This is the More Money Show. Thank you so much for joining in. You are the ones who make this show successful, and we've got great ratings thanks to you. So appreciate it so much. This is the highlight of my weekend to be able to do this show. A happy Mother's Day to all the moms. My next guest is a good friend and one of the top economists and financial analysts in the country, David Bahnsen. David, are you with us?
I sure am. Good to be with you.
Okay. I guess what airport are you in there?
I'm in John Wayne in Orange County, headed to JFK. So I'm going from a very high-tax state to another very high-tax state.
You go coast to coast, my friend. So I know your time is tight because you got a plane to catch, but I really wanted to get you on this weekend because, of course, you're the author of many books on. Is the latest one Profit from the Profit?
Yeah, that doesn't come out until August, and so I'm really excited that we're a couple months away from my newest. It's going to be about dividend growth investing and dealing with how companies make profits as part of our capitalistic system, and then investors have a choice as to what those companies are going to do with the profits, and we favor dividends that companies can receive as a sign of a good company that can repeatedly pay and grow a dividend. But of course, the last book that came out, you and I have talked about many times, was Full Time, my book, Defending a More Rigorous Understanding and Belief in Work.
So there's a couple of issues that I want to discuss with you today. And that was going to be the second issue, but since you brought it up, let's start with that. We have this AI revolution, robotic revolution that is coming on at warp speed, literally, not figuratively. And, if you look at the polling, David, you're aware of this. People are nervous. More people are nervous about this than excited about it. And people are worried about losing their jobs. They're worried about what effect this will have on just the way we live and work and play, and it is going to affect everything. It's going to be a revolution, and it's coming. And so you have this kind of grassroots revolt that is coming. I shouldn't say it's coming. It's here. I mean, you're seeing it all over the country where communities are rising up saying, we don't want it. We don't want the data centers. We're very nervous about this stuff. And so I bring that up because when we move into this age of robotics, many of the kind of menial work that's been done for 1,000 years by human beings will be done by robots and machines. And then the question becomes, will this be the end of work?
Well, and that's where I've written so much at my weekly market commentary, dividendcafe.com, about people not understanding the economics of how all this works, that those who say AI is going to replace the need for work need to understand history, that what you have with technological progress, including progress that moves very fast and is very transformative like AI, is that certain work gets displaced and then other work gets replaced, that you find new opportunities, new needs. It shifts things. I use the digital revolution as an example because the numbers are so dramatically in our favor, because I know you and I see this issue the same, Steve. 57 million new jobs created, even though we do not have typewriter salesmen anymore. And I don't mind using the Industrial Revolution as an example either, and the cliches about horse and buggy. But the Digital Revolution is an even better analogy because it's so new itself and so connected to AI. And yet what people need to understand is why, the guys like Ludwig von Mises talked about economics as human action, why I insist on talking about economics as a study of the human person. Human beings, Steve, have infinite needs. Therefore, there are infinite work to be done to support those needs and wants. AI is going to take away menial jobs.
So, you do a very good history. By the way, I would add to what you just said, the green revolution, and by that I mean the real green revolution, which was the revolution in agriculture, where we were able to produce more and more and more food using fewer and fewer, man hours of work. The farm tractor probably displaced more workers than any invention in history. And yet we went from 30 people growing food out of every 100 to 2 out of 100. And yet we produced 5 times more food. So people found other things to do. That's why people moved to the city. But I think the concern now is that these robots are going to be so productive, David, that it's going to be, the question will be like, are people going to have to work? Because, you go back to the Middle Ages, people worked 60 or 70 hours a week. And then, then it was 60, and then it was 50, and then it was 40. And now the average work week is about 35. Do you see the work week shrinking? And how will people just can robots do everything for us?
No, they cannot. And this is also an economic principle. Robots cannot do what only humans can do. And when I say it's economic, it is, for me as a man of faith, a theological principle. It's a philosophical statement. Right. Robots can't do empathy. They can't do wisdom and judgment at the deepest level of human needs. Right. Right now, we're watching law firms get beat down by judges every week because they relied on AI to create briefs that they didn't properly vet and review. Right. There's going to be a lot of conveniences and efficiencies, but there's not going to be an elimination of those ultimate, truly human things. Now, the question is, if you're a young person right now getting ready to enter a career, a workforce, is what is more susceptible to AI disruption? And I would recommend people truly lean in to the really human things, and I will argue those things are infinite.
Yeah, like what?
Well, anything that is requiring wisdom and judgment that a computer cannot do, and then even things that a computer can do that requires additional validation and application and utility. Right now, we're talking about software, Steve, getting disintermediated by AI. But then why is the number one growth in new job hiring software engineers? It's because there's still a need to then take the software that is AI is creating and supplementing and find the right applications with it. So I just believe all at once that AI is transformative and revolutionary, and that it is being overhyped as far as its ability to get rid of human need.
So one question that I get asked a lot, David, I'm talking to David Bahnsen, the fabulous economist and financial wizard, is whether or not, you're going to see sort of even a widening gap between rich and poor, because, for example, we're not going to, a lot of the jobs, I'll give you one example, truck driver jobs. We have about 2 million truck drivers today. Probably in 10 years, we won't have many truck driver jobs left. I mean, those trucks will be automated. We're not going to have Uber or Lyft drivers. Already on the West Coast, a lot of the Ubers that come are driverless cars. So, if you're a truck driver, you're very nervous about this, right? What's going to happen to my job? So my point is, really, really smart people like you're going to do great, but not everybody's in the top 1%, right? What about, the people in the bottom 50% that, are not brilliant, but is there a place in society for them?
Yes, but I think that it's important that, like Friedrich Hayek taught us about the fatal conceit, to believe that any of us have the ability to have all knowledge. When you talked about the Green Revolution, where the agrarian jobs moved, I couldn't have answered then exactly where they were moving to, but I could have answered that they were going to move somewhere, that they were going to go respond to market signals. And you saw it then with the Industrial Revolution. We switched from agricultural to a more manufacturing-oriented economy, and when we moved from manufacturing to services. But by the way, would you argue that the Internet helped disintermediate travel agencies? Most would. There's a lot less of a need for travel agents. But we have more people working in the travel agent sector now or about the same, actually, than we did 15 years. Yes. But because the need...
I thought Expedia got rid of all those jobs.
But what it did is it lowered costs so much that it created new opportunity where now there's more people needed in luxury travel, corporate travel, more boutique and high end. And so it all at once gets rid of one area and creates a new one. And with truck drivers, I actually do not believe that we are going to go to a society with no truck drivers. I believe we're going to go to one with a lot less. But I think you're right that the trucks on the highway going down the 10 freeway in the middle of the country will be driverless, but I don't think they're going to be driverless on Fifth Avenue when they're pulling up with a delivery.
That's a good point. Okay, David, we got literally 2 minutes left. So I'm going to have you on again next week because we didn't finish our conversation, but very quickly, good news on the economy this week. Are you feeling better about things? A lot of economists were saying we were headed to stagflation, which is high inflation and high, inflation at the same time. That has happened before when we've had oil prices. How do you feel about things right now?
Yeah, I think it was a good week. I'm one who's been really in this kind of purgatory of seeing some data that is positive and some that isn't, and just trying to stay very humble in the way I assess the economy, not getting carried away one direction or the other. And this week, I think that the labor data was modestly indicating that we are not seeing firings picking up. Hirings are still lower than I want them to be.
They are.
But the weekly jobless claims are very low, Steve, and that's a good thing. And then the fact that the revisions for the past 2 job months were not that bad. I feel modestly encouraged about the labor data. And the one thing I gotta say, we need to see more capital expenditures outside of AI. We can't have the whole economy running on data center build outs. And I think that I just want to see small businesses say, hey, we're going to take our tax benefits from Big Beautiful Bill and start doing some capital investment. That's what we got to see next, Steve.
Final question in our last 45 seconds. You get asked this all the time. I get asked all the time. You know, are these technology companies, Google, NVIDIA, Anthropic, OpenAI, are they tapped out or are they still good investments? I mean, their prices are unbelievably high now.
Unbelievably high. And the answer, and this is so important, I hope every listener hears this, it's different company by company. It is not one answer. All of them are expensive, but some have a more plausible explanation and a more plausible case to cash flow than others.
Which one? Which one would you feel?
I think Google is in a very strong competitive advantage for how they're going to be able to assimilate AI, and they're spending money hand over fist right now, but they're spending money that they actually make. Where an OpenAI is making trillions of dollars of commitments and they don't have the money. Now they're hoping to get it later and they're doing other financing deals, but the risk profile of that is very different than with a Google.
Well, folks, that of David Bahnsen. He has a plane to catch, and we have a commercial to get to. So, David, thank you very much for coming on. This is the More Money Show, and we will be right back. We'll take some of your calls, 1-800-848-9222. In our final segment, that's the More Money Hotline, 1-800-848-9222.
Get ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball. Come out to the ballpark this week as the Ferry Hawks welcome in the Charleston Dirty Birds May 5th through the 10th. Grab the kids and come on out. We kick it off on Tuesday, May 5th with Cinco de Baseball with $5 tickets and $5 food and beverage specials. And we end the week as we celebrate all moms on Mother's Day. Moms get in free. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.